What's up, everyone? It's Zach Clayton, and I'm pumped to introduce you to my podcast, Prestige Access. Let's get to work. Welcome back, everyone. Today on Prestige Access, I have Bobby Richardson from Barbell Financial. He teaches you how to get your money right, and he's a meathead at heart, just like me, which is perfect for Prestige Access. So, Bobby, welcome. Glad to have you. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. It's going to be fun. I appreciate you having me on.
So you're a Jersey guy too, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, born and raised. Spent my summers down the Jersey Shore and all the fun clubs and bars down there. And been here 36 years now.
How long?
36 years.
Oh, man, how old are you?
36.
Oh, okay.
born and raised, baby.
Well, you don't look. You look a lot younger. That's good. It's all the finance and training you do, man.
Yeah, I've still got my hair, but I'm starting to go a little gray. Had a baby last year, and that's going to age me a little bit, but that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'll do it. I'm gray, and that's why I tapered the sides because I am gray. Yeah. Awesome, good to have you, man. So I found you on Twitter, which is now X, a little while ago, probably a couple of years, and you're exactly what I love. I love finance and I love the gym, and you were talking a lot about both, and now you've kind of done some great things with Barbell Financial, which is now you kind of educate those right on finance. Tell me a little bit about that and what made you want to start serving other people in that capacity.
Sure. Yeah. So I started Barbell Financial 2 years ago. It was really a financial coaching model. So I've been in the corporate finance space. It's been most of my career. I basically ran a team of stock market fraud investigators, and we were essentially looking at the Wolf of Wall Street character, Leo DiCaprio, that whole movie. That type of fraud is exactly what we investigated and reported to the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, and the FBI. So my background has always been in finance. But more on the corporate side. And I've always been just passionate about personal finance. So I kind of had what I call my personal finance awakening in 2018 when I was 28 years old. I realized that, there's always a big push for everyone when they come out of school and they start working, make as much money as possible, right? Crush it. There's really never a focus though on what do you do with the money once you make the money? And I think that's where a lot of people go astray. And the number one wealth building tool that everybody has is their income. So I think we need to learn how to manage the income and how do we shift, especially from the younger generations now, Gen Z. I kind of coined them as the TikTok generation, right? Everyone's looking for a quick dopamine hit. Everyone's looking to get rich quick. And that's not really the way risk and personal finance and investing works. You got to have a long-term mentality. So I've started the business as a coaching model for Gen Z and millennials. Just to give them the tools and systems that aren't taught in school. They're not taught in workplaces. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of kind of the light bulb going off for people the way it did for me back in 2018 to realize just how transformative this could be for your life. I think a lot of people don't like to acknowledge that money is important, and I don't think we have to put it on a pedestal, but it really is intertwined with every aspect of our lives, and it enables and opens doors for us that we want to unlock. Anything you would ever want out of your life is on the other side of a transaction or something that would require having more money. So it's something that I just encourage more dialogue about. And that's what I do on X and how you found me, right? I just want to be a sounding board for people to engage with each other and just have the conversation about money, challenge people's norms. And I think there's not enough of that happening either. Money's kind of taboo, right? It's kind of like we don't talk about that. We don't want to talk about how much people make, how much people are investing. And I kind of want to normalize that. I think salary transparency is important. I think how to invest transparency is important.
Well, challenging the norm is the biggest thing, right? And anything that you want to change, challenging the norm is the biggest and hardest part to confront and change because it's uncomfortable, especially when you're talking about money, which for so long has been so taboo. You don't do that. But why? I think we haven't asked that question until the last little while in life. Like, why? Why not? Why not teach people? Why not talk about it? Because there's a level of shame because people compare to other people. And there's a level of almost people feel like they can't control it. They can't do anything about it. And much like you and I know, and then also relate that to fitness. Well, there's very much something you can do about it, but you have to want to do something about it. So the two kind of go hand in hand. And that's why I think I love the name, first of all, of Barbell Financial. I think it's perfect. But the two go hand in hand because nothing will happen unless you want something to happen, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. Like, you've got to take agency, right? And so, um, I think the intersection between fitness and finance, it's like you have to have discipline in both of those aspects of your life, right? I hated the gym when I didn't find it. I was forced into it by my varsity baseball coach, and I hated it. I was a chubby 16-year-old kid. I couldn't move any weight. I hated being sore. But you kind of realize that when you see the progress, though, by doing the work, doing the hard thing, and what's on the other side of that adversity, that's what then you realize, like, okay, like, that's rewarding. And so if you lean into that and you embrace that, you're going to see the positive results, whether it's you're trying to build a better body, you're trying to build more wealth. And both of those things require patience, right? Long-term mindset's not going to happen overnight, and discipline and willpower to keep showing up and being consistent, and doing the hard thing. Right. Everyone wants to take the road that everyone's traveling. Right. And I think that those are the norms, right? Just do what's considered normal. But I think going back to your question, like, why aren't people challenging the norms? I think number one, there's the conspiratorial response, which is like the system wants to keep people dumb and poor, which you can believe that if you want. I don't know if that's true. And I think the bigger answer is just we're the first generation of people that came into access of information. Like, I remember the first day I dialed into AOL for the first time, and I don't have to go to my basement encyclopedia collection anymore to find something out, right? So I think that's breaking down the silos, breaking down the walls of, hey, like, let's talk about things. I can chat GPT anything. And so it's not like things shouldn't be taboo in the sense of like everyone has to live in their bubbles. And I only know about what my neighbor is doing or the people that I talk to at work, because that's how it was for boomers. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have iPhones, right? So there's a very profound shift that's happened between boomers and millennials, and now from millennials to Gen Z.
Well, you're right. And that was the biggest thing. You only knew what you were told and what you learned in school because you were told to learn that in school. There was no challenging that belief. You got the textbook. What was in the textbook was true. Now we know that might not be the case, and we can just use our phone and here's 1,000 levels of proof as to why this probably might not be true. And
Right.
by the way, it's backed by real evidence, not just because your teacher said so.
Right.
And the biggest thing there is critical thinking, like going out on your own and not just, okay, I'm told this. Okay. Well, there's some people that accept that and they say, okay, that's just what it is. And then there's people that go, well, why? And how did it get that way? And why is it that way now? And how could it be better? And that level of thinking, very few people have, and it's demonized a lot of the time, I find.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But critical thinking is not something that's taught either, right? So they don't teach you personal finance. They don't teach you critical thinking. School, the structure of school today, at least I'll speak about like the public education system. I'm not a huge fan of the way it's structured. I think it's archaic. It hasn't really kept up with how people and how children learn today. It's basically just be organized, right? Sit down, shut up, and regurgitate information. Memorize and regurgitate, right? That's all it is. So there's no critical thought. There's no challenge. You can't challenge your authority. You can't challenge teachers. Kids don't really learn like that anymore, especially, again, like they're the TikTok generation. They have very short attention bursts. Put them in a room and tell them to sit still for 45 minutes. It's not going to go over well.
Well, especially when nowadays you've got literally kids making zillions of dollars just doing gaming on YouTube. And then these kids are supposed to go to school and sit there so they can do what? Get a degree and learn stuff that doesn't matter. But they could just go home and game. I'm not saying everyone can do this because very few can, but they see it as well, this guy's doing it. Why can't I just go do that? Hey, mom, dad, I'm not going to school today. Why? So I can stream. Well, what does that mean? You need to go get a real job. Well, these guys some of them are making it a real job. And what does that even mean to some of these people, right? Like, our parents have no idea what that means or what it's about. But it's a very doable thing nowadays because we're no longer ignoring the taboo points of don't talk about that, don't do this. Like, if there's something you want to do that you think you can be successful at, do it. And if you continue to ignore it or push it off because someone said so, it'll never happen. And I think, to your point earlier, maybe it's coached that way on purpose to kind of keep people in their place in a way. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. From my experience, it was like pressure to go into a white collar career, right? Get the graduate degree. I don't feel like that the younger generation, like, they don't feel that same pressure and they don't want that. I'm very data driven. Again, going back to my days of investigating stock market fraud, I like to look at data. I like to analyze data and then come up with conclusions based on the data. And the data says that about currently 14% of Gen Z after they graduate land a job, right? And the job market right now is terrible. So where's the incentive, right? So if you show me the incentive, then I'll tell you the outcome, right? But right now, there's no incentive for kids to want to commute to an office job. They also know that AI is coming. And so I just don't think that they're excited about that for their future. And to your point, they see kids starting a YouTube channel, doing pranks, or even young children doing slime reviews or toy reviews, and they're making multiples than I've ever made in my entire career, just from YouTube revenue and brand partnerships. And I think parents who are millennial parents who are younger, they know this, and it's not so foreign to them. So the idea of their kids saying, "Hey, like I wanna be a creator, or I wanna do something that's maybe not traditional in the sense of sit at a desk and do an office job all day in the cubicle," I don't think that's so scary to them. So I think they see that, like, there are possibilities there that maybe the prior generations, like, they just didn't understand that.
I think it might be higher than 14. I think it was closer to 20% of four-year graduates don't have a job right now.
It could be higher. Yeah. So it's even worse, right?
Which is scary, right? That's scary. Yeah. So that's showing that the model is for sure broken.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, economically, things are challenging right now. I mean, I just posted today about how 33% of adults still live with mom and dad.
Yeah.
I think something like 40% of first-time home buyers needed financial assistance from mom and dad. So there's a big shift, right? Like, I don't think this was always the case. And so obviously I don't have a crystal ball, but things are changing, and it's going to be very interesting to see with the AI revolution, which, by the way, I think we're like, if we're going to, like, if AI is a ball game, like, we've just parked the car at the arena. Like, we're so early. Like, we haven't even entered the arena of AI. Like, this is version 1.0, and it's still so good. Right. So I can't imagine like what another 10 years of iterating and technological advances will look like.
I think it was something like for every 2 years, and this was in 2022, but it's like for every 2 years of tech advancement accounts for the last 10 of the last few decades.
Yeah.
So in the next 2 years, it's insane. It's insane. But the housing thing is a whole different conversation. And I don't know if there's a win to that. I think we turn into a renter's nation very soon.
I think we've kind of already entered that. But again, boomer parents are assisting their millennial and Gen Z kids to buy their homes, because I'll use myself as an example. I bought my house 10 years ago. There's no way that I could afford the house today, right? Given where the valuations have gone, number one.
Right.
What was that?
Your income would have to be triple. I mean, just from COVID to buy a $500,000 house just in the last 6 years, you have to have double the income that you would have had to have in 2020. And obviously, people's incomes are not increasing that much.
Yeah, I mean, that's an important point. So if you look at a chart of wage growth, right, which is kind of very flat, steady increase, but then home prices have just gone like, hockey stick up over the past 5 years. So wages aren't keeping up. That's the biggest problem. So you have valuations skyrocketing, interest rates remaining elevated, which means now so you have to have a bigger down payment, right, to buy the house, and now your mortgage payment has gotten so much larger, right? So it's become unattainable for folks. And then again, that goes back to the disillusionment for the younger generation, for Gen Z, kids in their 20s, to say, well, why am I just going to commute to this desk job that I hate all day? I'm never going to be able to buy a house. I'm never going to be able to retire. Like, what's the point? So it's kind of like a hopeless, like, I think, just sensation for a lot of people. But I don't think we're going to see a housing crash. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people on social media say, like, oh, like this is going to create like the biggest housing crash. Like I'm not seeing that.
No,
I just think inflation is going to run hot,
Yeah.
which means we're either going to see more pressure, right, for prices to go up. But I think the base case scenario is because prices have gone so high so fast, they have to stabilize now. So they're not going to come down, but they might just stay flat like for a period of time to allow things to kind of catch up a little bit.
I agree. I think the prices that we see now on these assets are going to be the lowest prices. They might dip 5%, but they're not going to get lower than where they are now. And I know we're trying to do things to the mortgage bond, like we're injecting $200 billion. Trump just did that, and we're trying to lower the mortgage. But listen, that's not the problem. The problem is that's going to just keep the inflated prices on the houses because there's still a housing shortage. We haven't caught up to pre-2008 financial crisis levels of construction yet, and then it was COVID, and then it got even worse. Yep. We are still very, very short on houses, and that's not going to change unless we do drastic, like a huge building boom, and I don't see that possible right now because of the prices and interest rates of everything else.
Right. So again, incentives rule the world. So if I'm a home builder, I don't have enough incentive to take the risk to build, or it's not worth my time.
Right.
And then there's also the red tape. A lot of local governments have a lot of red tape for building and inspections and all that, and that's a whole different animal.
Right. And the benefit of that goes to the seller, not the buyer.
Right.
Which is another problem.
Yeah. So the name of the game, like again, going back to like the financial side of my business, it's like you have to own assets or you're going to get left behind because they are going to inject liquidity into the system endlessly. It's the only way they can keep it going, keep the train going. We basically have a zombie economy, right? Like they have to, the way they inject life into the economy is by flooding it with more capital. If they don't do that, the whole thing collapses. So that's the name of the game. And so what that translates to is asset inflation. So if you don't own real estate, if you don't own stocks, you're going to lose purchasing power. You're going to get poorer over time. You're going to feel the most pain.
Yeah, big time. And you're incentivized to obviously own commercial assets. Not so much a single family home right now. Maybe that changes. We'll see. It probably should if we want more people to do that. Are you involved in any investments outside of a single family home right now?
At the moment, just my single family home. I did have a rental property, a second property that I bought back in 2017, a condo that I ended up selling. I just didn't think the juice was worth the squeeze on it anymore. A lot of times things look good in theory or as an idea, but then in reality, it's actually not like what I wanted to sign up for. And so with the real estate I have, just as my primary, like I'm happy with my exposure to real estate with that. And there's other ways too. If you really want real estate exposure, like you could buy something called a REIT, right? A real estate investment trust, which will give you exposure to other, real estate development. And some of them you can actually see like what projects are being built. So you feel like you're a part of some type of real estate project, but you're not necessarily, taking all the risk or dealing with the phone calls of the management and all that of it. So, I'm kind of like always interested in real estate. I always track the markets. I'm just not seeing, at least where we are, right? Our market here in Jersey, I'm not seeing where there's like enough of a margin on a rental property, unless like someone and can get like a fire sale type of deal. There's just not enough profit margin to make it worth your time, your headaches, your risk, etc. Right? So
not in this state. Not right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to, like if you had the 1031, you could find that. But just to get into, no, not in this state right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. And what do you think would have to change to fix that?
Well, I mean, rates have to come down because payments, the monthly carry cost has to be less, right? The only challenge with that is if rates come down, then valuations probably go up. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. And you can only increase rent so high before people can't afford it anymore. And then, you're stuck. So it's a challenge, right? And we're kind of heading into like these uncharted waters with just where things are from like a deficit spending and like from like a policy, like a broader macro policy standpoint, like what the Federal Reserve and what the Treasury Department has to tackle. Like the national debt is just increasing every single day, and it's out of control. It's a spiral.
Well, I think it goes from our level as homeowners all the way up. Expenses are just so high. It's not even the financing for some people. It's okay, now I'm in the house and it's like, whoa, I didn't know that it's going to cost this much extra on top of my loan to own a house. Like it's insane, right? And that is what's really killing people. It's a silent killer, really.
Yeah, well, they go online, right? They find a calculator, and it's like, okay, this is what your mortgage payment will be, and they go, oh, I can afford that monthly amount, but they're not factoring in the closing costs they have to factor in to actually create the transaction and close on the transaction of the deal. They're not factoring in, well, I'm actually going to want to upgrade the kitchen or the bathrooms, and it's going to be 20 grand for every bathroom to upgrade, because we all watch HDTV and we can't just be satisfied with the way anything looks anymore, right? And then it's just the maintenance, right? Like I put a new roof on a few years ago. That was 10 grand. And you can't even anticipate those things because they just pop up.
And then every year your insurance and taxes are going up, especially here in New Jersey.
Yep. My insurance is up 40% the past couple of years.
Yeah, it's insane. Isn't that insane?
And I've been here 10 years. My property taxes have gone up every single year.
Every single year. And there's nothing you can do about it.
And the big thing that no one's talking about that I'm worried about is doing like a tax revaluation. So essentially, for folks that aren't familiar with that, what happens is your house has an assessment value for tax purposes that the township uses, right, or the city uses. So your house might be worth $1 million, for example, but the assessed value for taxes with the city or the town might only be $400,000, right? And that's because that's just what they assessed the value, at the last time they did that. So at some point, they're going to want to reassess for taxes. And when they do that, if they now say, hey, your last time we did this, your home was worth 400,000, now it's worth $1 million, and we're going to reassess you now at $1 million, that means your property taxes could double when that happens. And this happened to me personally with that condo I mentioned. That was part of the reasons why I ended up selling, because a year after I bought it, the city did a revaluation, and my property taxes literally doubled overnight.
So it's good because you get the appreciation, but it's bad because you have to pay for it, right?
and they're going to do it eventually because they got to create revenue, and that's the money grab for them, right? So it's just a matter of time, and that worries me, because I think that will then drive a lot of people to have to sell, and then what does that look like, or foreclose, right? And so
exactly, and then we talk about, well, there has to be a cap on home prices at some point, right? Not a cap, but like how high could it go so fast? Mm-hmm. There's no limit on how fast and how frequent they can do that. I mean, every year you get a new bill, right? But we don't, or many don't account for that when they're going to buy a house. Like, can I afford a 2%, a 3% increase overall every single year on top of what you're already paying?
Right. Yeah. And for most folks, like, they're probably hopefully getting just that in a raise every year if they're lucky, like the standard 2 to 3% raise. But that doesn't account for everything else getting more expensive in their life.
Exactly.
Right? This is just housing.
Exactly. So since COVID, the inflation overall, right, is 26% since 2020.
Right.
Until now. So if you weren't getting at least a 6% raise on your salary every year, you're behind on inflation. Plus your house. Plus. You're underwater. There's no way. You're deep underwater.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, I just want to jump in real quick, because while we've been on this journey with this podcast, I've noticed when I focus on one thing, it allows to open a door to focusing on another one. I drop some weight. Next thing I know, I'm at the dentist getting my teeth, cleaned, and trying to look as good as Zach when he smiles. And but in all seriousness, I noticed the correlation between your fitness and your finance. Are you mirroring like things you've learned in either category to kind of develop and get better, whether it be, I was really good at training and fitness, and now I've kind of used those skills into finance?
Yeah, it's a mindset. The best thing ever happened to me was finding the gym when I was 16, when I talked about that earlier, because it sets like the groundwork, the framework for the type of person you want to be, and how you show up, not just in the gym, but in every aspect of your life. My mentality is, when I'm in the gym And so we'll probably talk later. Like I have a home gym, I have a garage gym, but I also like to also go to the commercial gyms once in a while too, and kind of do both. But when I'm in a commercial gym, like the one thing I'm doing, everyone, goes to the gym, likes to check out, each other, and guys are checking out the girls checking out the guys. I'm checking out the other guys, and I'm saying, like, is there anyone working harder than me? Because I will not be outworked. And so if I see one single person working harder than me, like I'm jacking it up to an 11 at that point, because I'm not leaving that gym without knowing that I worked harder than every single person there. And if you carry that mentality into every aspect of your life, like I did that with my career, right? It didn't matter if I was the first person in or the last person out of my office, but every time I was there, I wanted to make sure I was the hardest working person there. Obviously, work smart too, right? You can't overtrain and hurt yourself. You can't burn out at work, but work smart. But that's how you level up, right? So that's how I got promotions constantly throughout my career on Wall Street. That's how I saw the results in the gym. That's how I see my relationship with my wife elevate, my relationship with my friends elevate. You have to bring that mindset and that perspective to every area of your life, and you see things improve. I'm not saying it's always perfect and it's always going to work out that way, but that's kind of the overall trend, right? When you zoom out.
That's awesome. No, yeah, I see some guitars in the background. You dabble in music as well?
I used to. It used to be a big part of my life too. But then I lost that piece of my identity and gave it to my career. And so I was all in with my career. And so, it was like a double-edged sword where it allowed me to get to a pretty senior level and be making good money at a very young age. But on the other side, that was the sacrifice, right? So kind of the theme is right. Like you have to bring that to the aspects of your life to get what you want. And so I did lose touch with the music a little bit. I do want to get back to it at some point when I have more capacity. I don't have a lot of capacity now that I'm a father, and juggling the business and all that, right? But it's still a big hobby of mine. It's still something that I have a lot of history with. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's just something that I talk to a lot of people, and they'll approach me in the gym and they'll say, how do I look like you? Like, what supplements do you take? Or people come to me and say, hey, like, how did you build such a high net worth at such a young age? And like, I can tell you how I got there, but like, you're not going to want to do it because it's really hard. Right. So,
Yeah.
It was easier. Like, I don't have any like magic pill to sell anyone. Like there's no substitute for just the hard work. That's the bottom line.
It's also different for every person. Like I got that all the time. What do I have to do to look like you? Well, first of all, you probably won't. Okay. Because I'm different than you are. And my body is different. My anatomy is different. And probably I work harder than you if you have to ask me that question. Right. So it's a total identity shift. To your point earlier, Bobby, it's totally, you have to become someone and something completely different. I mean, if you have those goals, if you don't, then you're probably fine. But to do crazy, outlandish, unique things, you have to turn into somebody that you might not know yet. And you have to live that life and be that person now so that you can become him later.
Yeah. And I would say voluntarily just do hard things when you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Set your alarm really early and have your shoes ready to go for a run, even if you hate running and you hate waking up early. I did that. Like I signed up for a marathon and I just forced myself to train, because if I commit to the marathon and I put it on my calendar, like I got to show up and complete the marathon. And if I don't put the training in, that marathon is going to suck. Right. Like that's not going to be a fun experience. But if I prepare myself, like it's going to be rewarding. And that's, what it was. And then I did the same thing with the triathlon. Like I'm not a strong swimmer. And like I was anxious about the swim in this triathlon, like leading up to the entire race. And I remember being so scared to jump in the water on race day, but I just forced myself to get through it. And so there's a lot of people that say they want things. Oh, I want that. But I have to like challenge, like, how bad do you really want it? Because if you truly wanted it, you wouldn't be sitting there talking about how bad you would want it. You'd actually just go do what you got to do to get closer to getting that thing, right? Like, and just do the work and show up.
How bad doesn't matter. You just do it.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it takes. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And that's the most difficult part. I know for me personally, I was 11 years old when I started training in the gym. And that is what set my life up for the future. I did it because I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I looked on TV and I saw these guys and they were big and they were jacked, and wow, So I have to look like that to be a pro wrestler. Okay, so I'm 11 years old. I'm going to start doing that because at the time I didn't know what I was thinking, but that's what I could control with my own effort. I could control that. So I'm going to start that now. But what you learn is, and you said it earlier, Mike knows it. What you learn is that translates to every other avenue in your life. And you will learn everything that it takes to be successful in life through the gym. You get out what you put in, and it is effort only. Nothing else matters. The gym and the results do not care. They don't give a shit how you're feeling. They don't care if you're tired. They don't care if you're sad. They don't care if you had a bad day. They don't care if you got cut off in traffic. Nothing matters except the work. So when you go in there, you have to pick up those weights. And if you don't, then you will not get to where you want to be. And that's life.
Yeah, it's funny too. When I first started working out, I hated being sore. Now I hate myself if I'm not sore because I feel like I didn't go hard enough. Right? It's like I held back on a rep. Like I could have done 1 or 2 more reps, and I need to be hurting the next day to get the validation that I put the work in.
I get that at night. Like if and look, maybe these habits aren't the best for us, right? Like that's been proven and shown, and that's why you have some good days where you just chill and whatever. But if I'm laying in bed at night and I'm not like mentally exhausted, I feel I get pissed off because I'm like I could have done more today somehow, some way. I don't know, but I could have done more.
Yeah, my day is not complete until I've broken a sweat. Like I don't feel productive. Right. Doesn't matter how much work I got done. If I didn't break a sweat, it wasn't a productive day for me.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I love that. Look at this. Can I go back just a little bit and talk what you were doing on Wall Street before with the fraud? Could you tell me a little bit about what that was? It seems super interesting.
Yeah, sure. So I started off as an investigator and then worked my way up to directing the entire team of investigators. But I use the reference to Wolf of Wall Street. If anyone's seen that movie, it's spot on, right? It's like the guy in like his mom's basement who's like pitching some like aerodynamic company and saying like he's revolutionizing the world, right? And it has all this amazing technology. But it's all a lie, right? It's all BS. And like, it's just a guy in his mom's basement who's just trying to scam somebody, right? And so essentially he's just trying to artificially inflate a stock price, get people to buy into this company that is, a shell of a company. And then when he's happy enough with the stock price, he just unloads the shares. He sells all his ownership in it, and then he makes money, right? So that's called a pump and dump scheme, market manipulation. It's very common. It's more common in like thinner traded securities, so like micro cap, low cap stocks. That's why penny stocks, because they're more loosely regulated. It's easier. Like it'd be impossible for someone to pump and dump Nvidia because the market cap of Nvidia is so high. But this happens all the time, and what people do too is like they ride trends. So like when like the pandemic happened, and PPE was a big thing. You would see like this company that like had zero activity for 10 years. All of a sudden it's got like a new owner and it's in the PPE space and it's doing all these amazing things and it's got all this revenue and it's all a lie. And it's just probably some guy in his mom's basement. But he tries to drum up interest and he promotes the stock on forums and tries to get people to buy and then he dumps it into the market. So we investigated a lot of that and we would report anything suspicious to the authorities. And then a lot of times we would see like 6 months later, because the government would work their case when we tipped them off on something, we would see a press release about an arrest that was made. And we knew that like, hey, like we tipped off like that this guy was doing something illegal. So it's white collar crime. A lot of times it's people like in the Cayman Islands, offshore somewhere, trying to skirt, laws and regulations with bank accounts. But yeah, the Jordan Belforts, the Wolf of Wall Streets of the world, they're still out there. They're sophisticated. Like these are very smart guys. Like they know how to get away with it. And so I did that for a number of years. And then I also kind of segued that into just general risk management at large banks. And that's been my kind of gist of my corporate career on finance.
Well, that's super interesting. But now you're seeing that. Now the problem is you're seeing that in the crypto world.
Oh, everybody's
much
easier. Yeah.
It's deregulated, right? Well, it's not regulated, I should say.
Certain exchanges, especially if they're publicly traded, like Coinbase is regulated,
Coinbase
right?
is good, yeah.
But anyone can create a token. You can create Zach Clayton token, right?
Yeah.
And just and anyone can buy your token, even if it has no intrinsic value to it, because you don't offer anything behind it. Like there could be value creation. You could say, hey, like this gives access to something, or this gives you I send a newsletter out behind it. If you own my token, you get access to my newsletter, like whatever it might be, right? But a lot of times it's just people creating like fart coin, right? And then it just gets all this interest because it's funny and it becomes a meme, and then someone's going to lose a lot of money because they were the last in line to buy it.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame. But at the same time, that is sort of what attracts people to those markets, right? Because there's a lot of that too. Do you have any involvement now in crypto?
I have some exposure to Bitcoin.
Okay.
So, I think there's 99% of crypto is garbage.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think there are some projects that are interesting. Like I think if you don't think that the world is headed to a tokenized model, like the tokenization of assets, you've got your head in the sand, right? Like I've worked for the largest financial institutions, the most critical financial institutions. I'm telling you, they are all moving to a tokenization model for clearing and settling trades, for anything operational that is happening, because it's just more efficient. So a lot of folks don't know this. When you buy stock, let's say you buy Apple stock, and it says, hey, now you've got 1 share of Apple in your account. It actually takes 2 days behind the scenes, right? For that trade to actually settle and actually trade hands, and all the accounting to kind of happen behind the scenes. So this is all this tokenization is just allowing for instantaneous facilitation of transactions, and it's verifiable, right? So you can actually prove that everything has been traded. So everything is headed that way. We're already seeing stocks are going to be headed to a tokenized model. So your ownership of that Apple stock will be represented in a token, right, instead of a share. But I think to be clear, that's going to be more private blockchains who are facilitating that. Like I think projects like Solana and Ethereum, they're going to do stuff more like in the public facing space and more like kind of open source type of stuff for those types of projects. Government stuff is typically going to be like private blockchain, or for like the large financial institutions, a lot of them are going to create their own blockchains. I know Robinhood is creating their own blockchain.
Right. So they're going to keep that. They're essentially going to make their own exchange for that, right?
Well, they're going to create their own token and blockchain that allows them to facilitate transactions and verify that the transaction, right, and force people into their ecosystem, essentially. Which
in those cases will be heavily regulated.
Yeah, well, it has to catch up, right? Yeah. Like that's part of the problem too. Like regulations lag. Same thing with AI, right? And like self-driving cars, like it's got to catch up at some point. The problem is the SEC and a lot of the regulators are kind of asleep at the wheel, particularly in the US, about having an opinion and creating a framework for crypto and Bitcoin laws and regulations. And so I know there's been like a bigger push for that, like with the current administration. I still haven't really seen much from the regulatory side, right? Other than just like, there being touting of like wanting to be more of a sounding board and presence in that space. But I think Bitcoin is interesting as a speculative asset. There's a lot of qualities about it that I think are interesting. It's fascinating to watch gold and silver run the way they have, and Bitcoin kind of is just stalling.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I mean, gold has basically stalled for how long, and all of a sudden it woke up, and that's, I think, something happening on a more global stage of, I think, like the sell America trade is kind of accelerating. And
you know what that is too? It's like, because for so long gold was just flat. And it was Bitcoin, and then everyone was like, okay, let's transition to Bitcoin. And then it was like, well, wait a minute. So I feel now it's kind of like, well, we left gold over here. Let's just go get that again. And now, because now it's, what is it, way over 4,000 an ounce right now.
Almost 5,000 an ounce.
It's skyrocketed.
Yeah. I mean, gold has been a currency for thousands of years, and I think that's what's attracted to people.
Right.
The challenges I have with gold, and why I personally don't own any in my portfolio, is if you want to take, let's say $20,000 of gold because you want to buy a watch, and you want to travel to Japan and buy a watch in Japan from a dealer out there, how are you getting that gold to that dealer?
You're not.
How are you taking a gold bar or an ounce of gold and fractionalizing it to 1/10 of an ounce because you want to buy something worth less than an ounce of gold? You can't.
You can't.
What if you want to liquidate your gold? You want to just sell it because you want to put it, convert it to dollars. You can't just take your hard asset, and you got to go to like a physical shop somewhere, and they're going to kill you on the spread, on the fee, because they take their cut.
And to your point there, that's what's so attractive about crypto. Let's use Bitcoin as an example. Right. If I want to do that and you're in Japan and I want to watch that you have, or I want to buy a guitar that's behind you right now, here's my money, and you have it like now. You don't have to wait 3 days. There's no fee. I mean, there are fees, but like there's no time delay at all. If it's Friday at 3 p.m., you're not going to get it at Tuesday at 11 a.m. You're going to get it in 5 minutes or less immediately. And you can't do that with anything else right now.
Yeah, especially for like a larger transaction, right? Like you can send someone $1 million cross borders, and it's there in 2 minutes.
It's there, and you can see it, and it's real. It's not.
Yeah.
There's no debating it. That is.
Yeah, I mean the qualities of money, like the big ones are like divisibility, like how easily can you divide it? Which Bitcoin is very easily divisible. I can send 0.1 Bitcoin. I can send 0.00001 Bitcoin, right? It has to be scarce. You can't just have like an infinite supply, which the dollar has an infinite supply, right? Yeah. But Bitcoin has a cap supply, so that's interesting. And you have to be
at the cap, right?
What's that?
I think we're going to be there in a few years, right? The cap.
Not quite a few years, but it has to go through its cycles. I don't know the exact date, but it's 21 million is the supply cap,
right?
But I still think we're like a couple decades away.
Oh, are we that far?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. So scarce, divisible. Like how easily can you transport it, right? So all these things make Bitcoin more attractive than gold and even the dollar. The problem is just how much control is government gonna, kind of exercise to say, hey, we like to keep things centralized because that's how they have control and that's how they create order, right? So, but if the Bitcoin to me is just like a hedge against like currency collapse, which
it really is a hedge, and that's where I was going with it. But now you see that there is correlation between that and the stock market, which for a while everyone thought the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, right now, gold is the currency collapse and inflation hedge, right? So Bitcoin had its golden years, and obviously, it's like I still think Bitcoin has legs, right? To be clear.
I don't think Bitcoin. Nothing happens to Bitcoin. That's there.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing about Bitcoin compared to other blockchains is like it's the actual network has never been hacked, and there's never been an outage. Mm-hmm. Like it's just been steady, right? Ever since it's been created. For over a decade now, and you look at something like Solana, which is like much faster transactions, but that network is always down.
Yeah,
Ethereum is always being that blockchain is always being hacked, and you have to trust. So the thing about Bitcoin is you don't have to trust anyone, right? Like there's no trust behind it. You have to trust that Vitalik, who is who controls Ethereum and is the founder of Ethereum, you have to trust that he's doing the right thing. Right. Same thing with Solana. Like there has to be a lot of trust about what's happening with the project and who's behind making these decisions.
Right.
With a dollar, you have to trust the government, right? It literally says in the back of the dollar, like faith and trust in the government, right? Which I don't know about you. I don't have a lot of faith and trust in my government.
The utility's gone. You can't even use cash anymore. Like
I never have cash on me.
And you can't get it. You can't go to your bank and you can't ask to take out your money. They won't give it to you.
Well, they don't have the money.
They don't have it. That's right, because they lend it out and it's gone, right?
So fractional reserve banking. Yeah.
Why not just buy Bitcoin where I can just do anything I want with it at any time?
Yeah. If everyone asks for their money all at the same time, like this happened with Silicon Valley. If you remember, I think it was back in 2023. Yeah. It's called the bank run, right? Yep. So if too many people ask for their money all at once because there's widespread panic, the bank runs out of cash and they just basically collapse.
Yep.
So yeah, that happens too.
So So why would we invest in that? You can't. It makes
well, the dollar's not meant to be an investable asset, right? Like it's meant to be short term, like money that needs to be spent. So like I only keep enough cash in my checking account to be operational month to month. Outside of that, like I'm not holding dollars for any long term.
Yeah, you can't.
Because you can't. It's just gonna erode your purchasing power.
Well, yeah, and you're dead to inflation.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can. It's so interesting to see like what Michael Saylor's done with Bitcoin. I mean,
Yeah, I'll probably get in trouble for this, but I'm not a huge Michael Saylor fan.
not no.
Look, I think Bitcoin is great, and the whole thing with Bitcoin is like you don't have to trust anyone, and I think a lot of people have made Saylor become like the entity that we have to trust, or like the face of Bitcoin, which like he shouldn't be, and what he's done with the treasury company. Like if you understand like how he's managed to continuously buy more Bitcoin, it's mostly through like convertible like equity deals and leverage, which is kind of like what like the hardcore Bitcoiners are against, right? Like they don't like a debt based system.
Yeah.
They want to just be able to say, hey, like this is like a savings vehicle. And there's look, my career is built upon identifying red flags. And for me, there's just some red flags with him.
Yeah, you look at everything from a different lens.
Yeah. So has he done good for the network and the community? Of course. Are there red flags that perk my ears up that I'm paying attention to? Yes, for sure. And I'm not unique in saying this. Like there's other people out there that are doing that. And look, I hope it all works out. You know, he offers a product that offers like 11% returns called Stretch. And I see a lot of people talking about that on X. And I do a lot of thought experiments with my account to say like, hey, you know, what advice do you have for this person given their financial situation? And I see a lot of comments, invest it all in Stretch because you can get 11% returns. What people don't understand is Stretch's 11% returns is completely dependent on Bitcoin increasing in 21% year over year. That's the model. As long as Bitcoin increases 21% in perpetuity year over year, Stretch can continue paying out 11% in their dividend, right? As a preferred stock. But what happens if Bitcoin stays flat for the next few years, or worse, goes down, and you've got $1 million in the Stretch preferred stock? You first of all, you're going to lose money in your principal because of the NAV erosion, the net asset value, and you're probably not collecting those dividends anymore. So it's risky. So the bottom line is, I think people are taking risk they don't understand because they see a lot of people touting something on X who, again, like you don't know what their credentials are, you don't know what their experience is, and then you can't accept risk if you don't understand the risk you're taking. Of course, 11% return sounds attractive on your cash. You can just invest in this product, but like obviously, like if something's too good to be true, like you have to understand why, or at least understand the risk that you're taking to allocate those dollars towards that.
Which is another problem with so much access to so much information. You're just every day you're just pounded with do this, and you'll get rich tomorrow. And then everyone's like, well, who do I listen to and what do I do? Let me just do it all. And then as we know, recipe for disaster. But chasing the trends today is a really big problem.
Yeah. And to be clear, I think Saylor is like a genius. I think he's like, I obviously never had the benefit of meeting him. I would love to have a conversation with him, but from what I've heard, like you can't just have like small talk with him because like his brain, the way it works, and like he's in a million places all at once, and he's processing and like thinking about, always analyzing. You can't just be like, hey, like let's talk about the weather. He'll be like, screw off, basically.
Well, so, I'm sure you've talked to some people like that. When they're that smart, you just cannot have a normal conversation. Right. I don't think it's possible because I've talked to guys, I don't want to name names, but to your point, they're just all over the place in a good way. Not like there's something wrong, but they're in a different world.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And so again, I mentioned red flags. I'll mention one of them. He got very defensive recently when his treasury model was challenged by someone who's actually a hardcore Bitcoiner. Just for the sake of conversation, he got very defensive and riled up. And from my experience, when someone responds that way, when someone's challenging how sustainable what they're doing is, it means that like they are insecure about something. And the last time I saw this was, I don't know if you remember in the crypto space with Celsius. Do you remember Celsius? And this guy, Alex Mashinsky, was the CEO of Celsius. It was just a crypto exchange. He got very defensive when people were trying to challenge him on the products he was offering. How can you give yields on Bitcoin of 7%, 8%, all these things? This is like the days of like where you would just put like USDC on an exchange and make 10% on USDC, like back in 2022. And I would watch the CEO of this like very large crypto company going absolutely ballistic. And like it just, that to me is like the tell. Because like, if you are confident and you're doing the right thing and you believe in things, like you're not responding that way, especially to little people. Like he blocked me on X, and I had like at the time, like I was just starting my account a few years ago, and like my business, and I had like 200 followers, and he blocked me for making videos about just challenging what he was doing. And I made a whole video about like why I was taking my money off of Celsius at the time. And then a week later, they froze withdrawals because they were insolvent. So again, like I saw the red flags, and for me, like it was enough red flags to be not comfortable to continue being a client and to get all my money out. And then a week later, they failed.
It's got to be so interesting from your perspective, coming from your background of how you evaluate. I'm sure that it's got to be, let me look at all of the risk first over opportunity. Is that probably right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to assess risk. Again, to accept the risk, you have to understand the risk. Especially like when you are taking the money that you've worked so hard for. This is like your life energy, and then you're just gonna like so quickly push a button on your phone to then deploy it into something, and then like you don't want it to just evaporate because like you didn't read the fine print on something, or you didn't really understand like what you were investing your money into.
That's the other
so
thing.
like
Well,
it doesn't mean that I'm always right, by the way. Like again, like when I talk about these red flags and like I say like, hey, like these characters rub me the wrong way. I doesn't mean I'm always right, but sometimes I'm right enough to know that when my bells are ringing, I should probably maybe proceed with caution.
You brought up Wolf of Wall Street. It's so much different now than what it was back then. Our parents bought stocks. They had to call a broker. And then it was really a sales game. And then it was really hey, do you actually know what you're doing here? Now you open an app and you click two buttons and you can blow your whole account and without even evaluating any risk or doing any research or know at all what you're doing. And you see that a lot too. So there's pros and cons to so much accessibility.
Yeah, there's never been an easier time or better time to be an investor, but also never an easier time, to your point, to just lose your life savings overnight by doing something foolish. And part of the reason I started my coaching business for financial coaching, and I think there's a lot of really bad financial advisors out there who aren't really looking out for their clients' best interest. And there are some really good financial advisors out there, so I'm not trying to generalize, but it is a pretty predatory sales first type of model. And I'm bigger on like, hey, I want to teach you how to DIY and how you can build like a system and a plan and then just do it yourself and then not have to pay the annual recurring revenue fee to a financial advisor who is just trying to keep you as a client so that he can put food on his table. Like I want to help put food on your table.
Right, because they're taking your money too. And it's nothing against them. They're, a lot of them are really good and some of them are not so good. But I'm under the belief that you should have a basic idea of what you're doing. I think that about everything, not just finance. You should, everyone, if you're going to do something, you should know as much as you can about the thing that you're doing. And especially if we're talking about money, because money, whether you like it or not, it does control the world and everything in it.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to work a job 40, 60, 80 hours a week, however many hours you work every week, that's you're doing it for most people, not because they love what they do, right? They're doing it because on the other side of that time and effort in return is the money and then what the money allows them to do. So if they're, to your point, not educating themselves on what to do with that, that's when you get yourself in trouble, or you stay on the hamster wheel, or worse, you're going backwards. And then the problem I see with a lot of folks, and we talked about this earlier, is lack of agency. Like people get themselves in this situation and they'll never take account. I should say never, because not everyone is this way, but a lot of times people won't take accountability for why they're in this position or how they got there. And they want to blame, it's when it was Biden was president, it was Biden's fault. Now Trump's president, it's Trump's fault. It's like, I've got this problem. It's because my buddy did this. It's never like, there's never the word I when that happens. And I think when you can insert that into the picture, like that's the first step in changing like the trajectory and the direction of travel of your life, because you have to take accountability. And then you can start the steps of, hey, like, how do I start actually moving the needle, right? And changing course on the behavior that got me here in the first place.
If you want to feel better, you blame other people. If you want to get better, you blame yourself.
Yeah.
Accountability is everything, man. I love it. You're clearly a really smart guy. I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we connected originally. I'm going to keep watching what you do because it's great stuff. And I know you're in Jersey. We should get together sometime.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So the new I'm doing a new home gym. I think we didn't have a chance to get into this maybe next time.
Actually, yeah, because I wanted to know about your home gym real quick. And I'll tell you about
Yeah,
mine.
can I
got
ask
time.
a question first? Do you have mirrors in it?
I do. I do.
He gets
Why
mad
is that like a no for a home gym?
No. So Mike,
No,
we did a whole episode almost on mirrors in my home gym because I'm a pro wrestler. I need to see how I look, right? I don't want to just go out and watch myself on camera and be like, wow, I look like shit. I need to, when I'm training, I need to make sure that I also look good. That's the thing about me. I have to be strong, athletic, agile, and I have to look good. So I have mirrors in my gym, and sometimes people have something to say about that, but I don't really care, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not because you're comparing yourself to someone else. Like, you're just competing with yourself, and you want to see the results. And look, there's nothing better than like feeling an amazing pump at the gym, and then you see how pumped up you are in the mirror. Like, it's awesome.
Bobby, so I work out alone now in my basement so I had to build it during COVID because I had to still work and travel, but the gyms, I couldn't go to a gym. So I built it during COVID. And now I get the questions like, how the hell can you just work out by yourself in your basement all day? I'm like, I got that guy right there to fight every day. Yeah. And if I can fight him, I can fight the world.
Yeah. Even when I go to a commercial gym, I don't talk to anybody. I've got my headphones in. Right. Someone tries to make small talk. I kind of like, people probably think I'm an asshole because I'm very short with people. I always say the joke, like if someone comes up to you and says like, hey man, like, how do I get a better physique like you? I always joke, like the response should be stop talking to people at the gym. Like, you get to work. But no, so I didn't start my home gym from COVID. I started it when my son was born, just from a time standpoint, and also like I just didn't want to bring anything nasty back. He was born in the winter. I didn't want to bring like any weird germs back to him as a newborn. He was born early, and so we were kind of cautious with that. But I had like my like kind of oh shit moment where I was like, well, if I can't go to the gym, like I need to work out every day. So like I quickly put together a gym and then like iterated on it. Spent a ton of money to like try and make it as close as possible to like what I would want in a gym. But what I found out really quickly was I spent a lot of money, but I also like didn't go crazy on the equipment. Like I spent money on horse stall mats, making sure the flooring is right. So
that's crucial. So important.
Yeah. The other big expense was putting a ductless mini split in the garage. So I have heating and cooling. So things like that were the biggest expenses, but I kind of cheaped out on a lot of the actual equipment and gear. And then like that, like I lost a lot of like inspiration by like using equipment that was kind of like subpar compared to commercial grade type of stuff. And I lost some of the inspiration to like go into the garage and do it. So I'm like, look, I have two options. I can either just say, hey, that was fun, scrap the whole gym, get back to a commercial gym, or like take my lessons learned and just rebuild the whole gym. And so I'm doing just that. So I sold off a bunch of the equipment, spending even way more money now on, just getting like commercial grade equipment on the garage gym. So that's hopefully going to be done. I don't know why my camera just zoomed way in on me. I think that's going to be done probably like in the next month, 2 months. So yeah, man, I'd have to have you come over and give the garage gym a review and then also do a workout and tell me like what you do differently.
We'll get a workout. What stuff are you putting in there? If you need some just recommendations of equipment, I can help you out with that.
Yeah, for sure. So I literally just had delivered yesterday the Dane 2.0 Fringe by Fringe Sport.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be like the focal point, right, of the gym. So that's gonna be my rack. That's gonna be my pull-up station. That's gonna be where I can do any modular attachments. That's gonna be my cable systems. I have the dual pulleys on each side. That's gonna be like the main aspect. And then once that's put in, I'll kind of see what space I have to work with, right, and like what other pieces do I want. I'd like to train more of like bodybuilding, so I kind of want more machines. I got to see with the footprint that I have, but I tend to do like a hybrid approach. Some months I'm like heavy in bodybuilding and like really getting like the hypertrophy, the squeeze, right? Other times I'm like, hey, I want to do more of a CrossFit style workout, and I've got kettlebells and I've got like a plyo box, and I'm doing like more of like high intensity training, and I've got the Assault Runner treadmill, so that's great for like doing more of that type of stuff.
That, yeah.
And then sometimes I'm just like, hey, like I want to go heavier cardio, and like I'm gonna go try and like build up like a 10 to 20 mile run base or spin bike base, and I'll lean into that more. But I feel like for me in this phase of my life, I'm caring less about like the size, and I'm caring more about just like feeling good, and being able to crawl around with my son, having longevity. So I'm trying to stretch more, as much as like that's not fun. I just don't want to like wake up like the back hurts. I don't want to feel tight. And like with my career, I've been sitting a lot for the past 15 years, right? So back is stiff, shoulders have rolled. Like you gotta like constantly like engage your core because your core's gotten weak and your posture is kind of failing. So I'm trying to like fight that and erase a lot of all that stuff that's happened over the last 15 years, and that's a challenge too.
Yeah, longevity and mobility is everything, man. I mean, that is something that I coach heavily, like to focus on more, because you're going to want to be able to be 80 years old and bend down and pick up the pillow and not herniate a disc, which happens a lot. So that's really the goal for me too. I get beat up a lot. I get beat up enough, and then I go home and I beat myself up more. But it takes me like almost half my workout is just warming up at this point. And
no, I get it.
Yeah. So like having a home gym for that reason is so much better. You save so much time, which is the greatest currency. We're talking about finance. Time is the greatest currency of them all. And a home gym for me, I save so much time, which does save money. And I'm so happy I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you can't look at it from like an ROI, because it's not like, hey, like I'm investing in a stock and I want to go up 10%. Like, no, it's consumption. It's a hobby. And you're going to use it every single day, right? Most days you're going to, and for me as the son now, like I want to set the example for him, right. And show him the work. And also like, I enjoy it. Like I love watching garage gym reviews on YouTube. I don't know if you follow that channel.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Coop. So I like getting his perspective on stuff, or I'll maybe DM him for like, input, but I just like to, learn about different equipment, try different equipment. I love going to different gyms. Like one of my favorite things is just like walking into a new gym for the first time, just like see what equipment they have and trying out different equipment. Like that's me, like, like on a field trip. That's like my vacation. Like I'm just kicking on a playground in a new gym.
Me too. And I watch all these guys with because the home gym, it's gotten so crazy that you can literally have commercial stuff in your home and it's the same stuff, but it fits for a home gym. So now I have to go through my gym because it's been over 5 years. I really have to go through it and kind of redo it. Not totally, because I have a lot of good stuff in there, but I would like more versatility than I have right now. And at heart, I'm a meathead as well. So I am missing some of the classic bodybuilder, like iso rows and stuff like that I would love to put back in.
Yeah, they take up space. I've got a 2-car garage, and I'm using the whole space. Yeah. The challenge too with the garage gym, like you have the basement gym, which is nice. I don't have a basement, unfortunately. We have a concrete slab at our house. But with the garage, it has a little bit of a slope.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, right? So if I have equipment kind of perpendicular to the garage doors, it's not perfectly level. So a lot of times, like I'm forced to put stuff parallel, right, so that it's level. But then it might kind of encroach on the space somewhere else, and I lose a little bit of a footprint. So you've got to get creative with just like the way you like Tetris things a little bit.
I know.
But yeah, to your point about just having like good quality equipment, that's why I wanted to go for the Fringe Dane 2.0 on the rack, because like I wanted to feel like, hey, like with the pulleys especially, and doing cable work, or even just like racking like on a squat or a bench. Like I don't want to feel like the whole rack's going to collapse on me.
Well, that's the biggest thing you want. You need safety, because a lot of, obviously at home gym, you're probably by yourself a lot of the time too. So you want to be safe. And I would say if you're going to do a home gym, invest the money, like save the money to invest the money into it, because getting the good quality stuff is always going to be better than just, slapping some random stuff together and calling it a home gym.
Yeah. And it depends too. Like for the average person who just wants to get like a workout and maybe isn't as hardcore about it, maybe they can take the cheaper road, and like that maybe, might be enough. And to be honest, like if you really know what you're doing, all you need is a couple kettlebells, a resistance bands, right? Like you don't need much to get a good workout, and like just use your body as the tool. But like I bought like a cheap $300 cage on Amazon from China. And like, look, it did the trick. Like it was fine. But that got old quickly. I'm like, that was not the move. Like that thing did not feel sturdy. So, even just like 225 on a bench, just racking the weight after that, I'm like worried the whole thing's going to,
because the whole rack just go back.
Just shakes a little bit, and even the J cups, like they don't feel solid. Like when you rack it, like it just, you know, it was always like a little hairy, but hopefully I haven't set it, like literally just yesterday it got delivered, 1,000-pound crate, right, from the weight stack and all the attachments I got. It's all just sitting in my garage right now. I got to find time to set it up. But the other thing I'm doing is putting new garage doors in, insulating the walls, because this is the garage, right? When they built the house, they didn't put insulation in there. So I've got the heating and cooling with the mini split, but I don't want to be dumping heat out in the winter, and then it's not insulated, so it just kind of goes right back out. So I'm just trying to do the things to make it like more comfortable and efficient, because I want to spend more time, and like I want to be excited to go in there, and I don't want to feel like this is nice, but I miss the gym. I want to go to the gym. Like I want to be like, hey, the gym's cool, but I miss my garage. Like that needs to be the approach.
So I would love like an isolated garage, like off of my house, that I could build a gym in, because I'm missing the component of that. And I used to run a gym where I just opened the doors, and I love that, you know?
Yeah.
And my biggest problem right now is, yes, it's cool to have a gym in the basement, but I have to get everything in the basement, which is a very difficult time.
Yeah, that's a workout.
The hardest thing was those horse stall mats. It took me two days and 3 guys to get down all of them into the basement. It was amazing.
So I think I have 17, if I'm not mistaken, in my garage, and they weigh 100 pounds each.
I know, and it's like moving a tire. It's ridiculous.
Dude, it's just dead weight. So does your basement, does the stairs have a bend too when you go down?
No bend, but it's narrow. Okay. I got 30 inches.
Okay.
So that's not a lot.
Yeah. It's not
yeah. I did it. I'm good, but you know, I just hope I never have to move it out. That would be a problem. You know, I'm kind of that would take me like a week to do that.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to like break all the equipment down too.
Yeah,
you have to like assemble it, piecemeal it, right, and then I know.
But hey, it's worth it, man. I love my gym. I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, my dream, like when I was in high school and college, was always to have my own gym. Me and my buddy were like, we're gonna start our own gym one day. So like this is my version of starting my own gym, right? Like I can create the vision for it, have the equipment I want in it, work with the space I have, and it's mine. And I can have friends and family over. And like I said, one day it'd be cool to have my son when he's old enough to come in there and work out with me. And like I can't wait for that.
I have my stepson in there now. He's 9, but he started there when he was 4, just doing like whatever. And now he's in there, and it's awesome. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Well, man, maybe we'll do another episode sometime from the gym, and we'll get a workout.
Yeah, happy to do that anytime. Like I said, give me like 3 to 4 weeks. I'm thinking that's probably when everything will be set up. I'm happy to have you over, either in person or virtually, either way. And if we do it in person, we'll do a workout. And then also I'll pick your brain on just like, hey, like what would you have done differently? You know, what equipment would you have chosen and why? Or we can talk about why I chose certain equipment. Definitely would be interested in that.
Sure, man. Bobby, thank you. This was great, man.
All right, Zach. Appreciate it, buddy.